right, everybody. Rubén Degollado is from the Rio Grande Valley. His work has been published in Beloit Fiction Journal, Gulf Coast, Hayden's Ferry Review, and elsewhere. And he has been a finalist for honors including American Short Fiction's annual contest and Bellingham Review's Tobias Wolff Award. Throw is his debut novel, and it is set in the border towns where he grew up. Welcome, Rubén.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out. So I have this awesome confluence of my writer friends, my high school friends in the back, and my work friends from here in Austin. So it's just an awesome thing to be here tonight. So I want to thank you all. So I want to just first, I want to dedicate this to the youth. I want to dedicate it to the unwanted youth, the incarcerated youth, the adjudicated youth, the undocumented youth, at risk, the vulnerable youth is who I want to dedicate this book to, or this reading to tonight. So the book is called Throw, and we have a saying. We have a lot of us have ties to RGV, to Rio Grande Valley along the border. We have a dicho, we have a saying. It's "te aventaste," and if you know what that phrase means, "te aventaste," it doesn't literally mean I throw. It means you what? Like you did well, you outdid yourself, you did an awesome job. So that's the Chicano throw, te aventaste, te avientas, your dad's cooking on the grill, and amigo, te aventaste, you know. So there's that. And then the other side of it is in gang culture, to throw means you represent a gang. So who do you throw means what gang you represent. It also means throw down, so it means fight. So this multi-layered meaning word is what's at stake for my narrator, Güero. So how is that word going to apply to his life, which is why I titled the novel Throw. So I have this kid, Güero. He's about 16 years old. And this novel takes place over 3 crazy days, in 3 crazy but pivotal days over his life. And at the core of it is a first love. We've all been there, right? We've had a first love, perhaps. And you never get over it. And so my character, Güero, his first love, her name is Karina, but her gang name is Llorona. And if you're not familiar with the legend, Llorona is the ghost who, the legend goes, and there's lots of different versions. This is the one I grew up hearing, but the legend I heard growing up was that she fell in love with a soldier. She had children before that, but she fell in love with a soldier, and the soldier basically told her, "I can't marry you because you have children." And so the story goes, she ends up drowning her children for the love of this soldier to hopefully be able to marry this man. She tells him, and he tells her, the soldier tells her, "You're a monster. I want nothing to do with you. How could you possibly do that? I want nothing to do with you." So he ends up leaving her, and she ends up out of her grief. She has no lover. She has no children. She ends up drowning herself and is prohibited from entering heaven because God has cursed her to forever roam the earth looking for her children and crying out, and you all have probably heard it, "Mis hijos." And for us living in the RGV, this story is like real. I remember being at my grandmother's house and hearing along the canals, like, "Mis hijos." I could really hear it. So this is something that she's named herself after. And if you read the book, and I'm working on the next book in this little series here, is you get to find out why with this young lady. She's a tough girl. She's a chingona. She's a mean girl. But why would she use that as her gang name? And you kind of get to learn that. But just know that. So Güero is my main character. Llorona is the la ex. And she's gacha, as we say in RGV. I mean, she's really bad. She's a chingona. She's a bad girl. So to set the scene, this is set up at La Plaza Mall, which is our mall in McAllen, Texas. And it's at a store called Rave. And if you probably don't remember, or you weren't there, but Rave was like the store that sold the mini skirts, the short shorts, the tube tops, the spaghetti straps, basically the club gear that the ladies would wear to go out, and the platform shoes and all these things. So
It was Hot Topic before there was Hot Topic.
it was Hot Topic before it was Hot Topic.
Yeah.
And you'd walk in and the music was, you know, it was like going on. So that's the scene. The boys, Angel, Smiley, and Güero are meeting the girls at rave, because that's where the girls always were. So Angel said, Órale, let's go to rave. Brenda and Gladys were supposed to be there today shopping. I wondered if my ex was going to be there at rave with them. I wasn't in any kind of mood to see Llorona, la ex-girlfriend. I didn't want to play the usual ghost games where we tried to pretend we didn't exist to each other. Karina Galan, who everyone called Llorona, the daughter of the witch woman Senora Galan, had been out of my life for 3 months now, and I was happy about it. La ex was gacha, the things she had done to me. With all the things she had done, how she'd almost killed herself in junior high, how she'd taken the name of a ghost, some people would say she was bien psycha and should have stayed in charter palms where they put the addicts' nervous breakdowns and attempted suicides. I had thrown down on so many fools for talking like that about her. But what hurt the most was when Angel or Smiley or anyone in our circle started talking like this about her, even now that we weren't together and despite how we had broken up. The thing was, they didn't know her like I used to, how we would talk, how she would show me her book of poems and get all nervous and look away while I read one, how she would ask me what I thought about her one day getting one of her poems with the art on the sides of the page published in Lowrider Arte magazine. She was the only one I ever talked to about reading and books and poems, the books I checked out at the library when Angel and Smiley weren't around. This is who Karina had become. A ghost named Llorona who dragged others down with her, the girl she had once been long forgotten. Would I see Llorona's apparition today, I thought, as I walked towards rave? Would she drag me down with her? Rave sold the spaghetti strap blouses, the mini skirts, the short shorts, the bright stomach shirts, and the platform shoes all the bien buenas like to wear. The ones where they could show off their pretty feet with a fancy nail polish. The three of us walked up to rave with its bright neon lights and clothes, and some of the girls working there smiled at us as they hung up blouses and folded. Smiley's here, Brenda said, as she came out of the dressing room over the thumping techno rave always had playing. Smiley got all red because he'd been mad in love with Brenda since he was a 7th grader and she was an 8th grade woman. Smiley had always liked the bigger girls, but in Smiley's eyes, Brenda was the queen of them. Angel said, "¿Qué onda, Brenda?" Like every dude we had ever seen around Brenda, none of us could take our eyes off of her. She ran up to Smiley wearing these green short shorts and this top without straps. Brenda went up and put her arm around him, and it always made me laugh how much bigger she was than him. Smiley got even redder, and because he was so dark, you knew he was all embarrassed. Brenda pulled him in closer and said, "How's my cositas doing?" She kissed him on the cheek, and because she was wearing these shoes with big heels, she leaned over him to do it. Her name for Smiley was Cositas, which literally meant little things. Whenever we wanted to mess with Smiley and how he was mad in love, we called him Cositas. We always joked about how if they ever hooked up together, he would tag on the restroom walls at school, "Cositas en la Brenda, together forever." Smiley looked down at his shoes and said, "Goody, too. You know me, Cositas. This girl's always fine." "You got that right, girl," Smiley said, and made this face like a little kid who's thinking about candy. Brenda said, "Ay, Cositas, you're so cute. When are we gonna hook up?" "Just say the word, Brenda, and I'm yours." "Ay, Cositas, you're so chulo and sweet. I wouldn't want to ruin you for other women. You'd be with me, and any woman after me would be just a cheap replacement." Smiley looked at her up and down and said, "Ay, ruin me, por favor." Brenda touched the tip of his nose, all flirty like she always did. All All of a sudden, these two older vatos came up behind us from nowhere, now that Brenda was acting all in love with Smiley. They didn't smile or throw up their chin in greeting. Angel and I turned and looked at them, into their eyes. By not looking away, we gave them the challenge they had to respond to. This kind of situation, it can go two ways. And the way we wanted it to go didn't happen, as we were about to find out. I wanted them to lift their chins and keep them there, or spread out their arms telling us, "¿Qué onda?" without saying anything. Then all of us would have gone outside to throw blows or bullets. Brenda knew what was about to go down because she got between us and said, "Hey you all, this is my cousin Ray and his friend Eddie. They're from far. This is Angel." She put a hand on my arm and said, "And this is Cirilo, but we call him Güero." Something changed in Ray's eyes when Brenda introduced me, and he gave me a half smile like he was saying, "I know you. I know about you." What was up with that? The vato named Eddie gave Smiley an asco look, like he was disgusted about Smiley talking to Brenda. Smiley didn't even notice the mad dogging because his eyes were all over Brenda. But Smiley was that way anyway, always putting himself in places where he could get messed up and not even think about it, like crossing train tracks without looking both ways. The question that kept going off in my head like a firecracker was this: where's Llorona? And as if she knew what I was asking, the dressing room door opened and out she walked. Llorona wore a white shirt that showed her tight brown stomach with the HCP tattoo. Hispanics cause me panic. Her belly button ring and those white pants. She had the blue makeup tears on the inner corners of her black eyes, the only tears she cried now. Llorona's hair was pulled back, but with two dagger-thin horns of hair, cuernitos pointing to her demonia smile. Her small lips shaded a brown so dark it was almost black. Her naked throat was so long and pretty. Her collarbones so thin and delicate like a bird's. I remembered holding onto Llorona's neck when I used to walk her to our classes, which always made me tardy. At first, she didn't like me to do this because she said it looked like I owned her. What I had said was that I was proud of her, how beautiful she was, but that I could never own her. Llorona would never belong to anyone. How do you want a ghost? But Ray was the one who was proud of her today. And with the way he was looking at me, it all started to make sense. For a second, Llorona gave me this look like she was going to smile and hug and kiss me, as if these months of us being apart had never really happened. This was the way it was with us. Because we'd been together since 7th grade, off and on for almost 4 years. Whenever we saw each other now, it always took a second to remember we weren't together anymore. We were habits to each other. Llorona smiled, and I felt something in my chest, down the back of my neck I had not felt in a long time. But Llorona wasn't looking at me, and she sure wasn't smiling for me. She was smiling for Ray. This was what his looks were all about. Ray was looking at her with his player smile, the one that says, "I own you." Ray had no idea who Llorona was, the kinds of things she could do to people. Did he think we called her Llorona for nothing? Would she be named for the ghost woman who drowned her babies in the Rio Grande River if she was just some pichona you could control, some trained little pigeon who would always come back to you? Llorona was no harmless little pigeon. She was the lechuza, the owl you see just before someone is about to die, the one that haunts you in your dreams and you never want to see in real life because it means you're about to lose someone you love. Thank you all. I think we have any questions, right? Yeah, I don't have any questions. No? So we have books. We have books in the back, right? We're going to be signing, and we'll be back there. And I have some bookmarks for you all. Even if you don't buy a book, you can get a free bookmark. But I honestly just want to thank you all, and especially big shout out to Gerard, to Natalia, to Irene for supporting me and launching this book with me here in Austin. So I just, from the bottom line, thank you all.